Welcome, everybody, to a new episode of Cinema Royale. I am Travis Hobson of PunchDrunkCritics.com, and as you can see, I've got two guests with me, all right, and it is Chris Bumbray, who you recognize from JoeBlow.com. How you doing, Chris?
I'm good, Travis. How are you?
I'm all right, my friend.
Travis, you're also of JoeBlow.com, though. I mean, you do quite a few shows.
I forget to mention that I am a member of JoeBlow.com as well.
Sure. In good standing.
The Real Action video series for you guys, and starting a new one pretty soon too, which I don't even know.
And Ford Fairlane, I believe it'll come out tomorrow, actually.
Oh, shoot. All right. Got a new Ford Fairlane video coming out. All right, here you go. Everybody go back and watch my China O'Brien video, because that's still my favorite of all the ones.
I think that's my favorite too, actually.
I love that one. And someone you may not recognize, Danielle Solzman from Solzy at the Movies. How you doing, Danielle?
I am doing well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, good to have you on. I had to have you on again soon as well. We are all doing the Sundance Film Festival this year. We are, I think, all of us in some way disappointed. The festival's gone all virtual for the second year in a row. At least I know I am. I really look forward to it every single year. It's kind of the thing that kicks off the year for me. Be energized and going for the year. And I don't think I realized how much that was true until these last couple of years without it.
Yeah,
it's kind of I've lost some of the same drive and momentum that we have going into like February. Chris,
I feel the same way. I was ready to go this year right until the end. I was still planning on going. But yeah, no, it's strange because the weather here is also really bad in January in Montreal. So as cold as it is in Park City, it's like springtime for me. I'm walking around with my jacket open. So, I like to have that little break. And like you said, after the holidays and stuff, it really kind of recharges your batteries, and you get excited about the movies that are coming up for the next year, because you're really kind of getting a peek at everything. But that was something I want to talk about a little bit today as well, though, because I feel like the vibe of the festival to me has really changed a lot, and part of it is due to the pandemic and part of it is due to other things. But yeah, I am sad not to be there, though. It is something I always really looked forward to, and I think that once you start going to Sundance, it becomes an addiction and you can't help but want to go every year. So it would have been my 12th year.
So this would have been, I think, either year 10 or 11 for me. So Danielle, how about you?
I'm doing the math in my head because I went into writing for a reason. So let's see, 2018, 2019, 2020, and then the last 2 years virtual. So this is my 5th overall Sundance, and it should have been my 4th in person.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just not the same with virtual. Like, I was all set up until really when that surge started in December. December 25th in the evening, like, I'm looking at numbers, I'm like, this is not going to be good. It's going to be a shit show if they have it in person.
Yeah, Sundance is one of those places, Chris, you and I talk about it. You get sick there every year.
Yes.
Like
I think it might have been behind like the original COVID wave, though. That's the thing, because I mean, Danielle, I remember talking to you about this. And we thought that
you suggested a medication because that Sunday, after Promising Young Woman, I hopped straight over to Fresh Market and go to a pharmacy over there and pick up something. And I came back to Chicago the following Monday. After getting back from the airport, I went straight to the doctor. That was as soon as they let me get out of Utah.
I remember 1 year too, and this was like before COVID and stuff, but you do always get sick there. And I remember, Travis, you or I, one of us would always be sick. I remember you were staying with me for a couple of days.
That year that we both stayed in that hostel for a few days, we were both sick.
Yeah, I was like, you came back, you were going to see a movie with Viola Davis. And
I was going to see that awful Jennifer Lopez and Viola Davis.
And you're like, hey, you coming to see that? And I was on the floor of the shower, just like having the water come down on me. I was like, I can't go.
And I had been in bed pretty much the entire day. Like, I didn't go see any movies that day. I waited for that one because it started at like 10 o'clock at night or something stupid. And I did nothing all day in order to save my energy. And I was like, I'm going to at least go see this. And I remember the director, Charles Stone III, was there, and he got up and started talking before the movie, and I wanted to shoot him.
Yeah, just shut the fuck up and show the movie.
I remember not last year, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But like 2 years ago at Sundance, I think starting with Downhill, which was that Sunday night film at the Eccles, Like I usually at the Echoes, like I would go to that midpoint break between where the film crew and director sits and where everyone else sits, because that's the best leg room. So I can actually stretch out my legs. But once I started not feeling well, I'm like, I am sitting as close to the water as possible.
Yeah. It's funny you said to Downhill. I haven't thought about that movie since we saw it at Sundance for the first time.
I almost forgot about it.
But so we had gone to the CCA Awards just before that, and I remember it was like a whisper. It was like, oh, there's some shit going on in China, and they're like, oh, whatever. And then we're kind of like going around, and then I remember I was with Laura, and we came home, and no problem getting to and through from the airport, and then went to Sundance, flying out, no problem. As soon as I came home, though, everybody was wearing masks, taking temperature checks, and like the shit was getting real.
Yeah, I think that the funny thing is that first year, that last year that we were there in person was the one year I think in all the years I've been there that I didn't get like the flu. Like I didn't.
Yeah.
Get the flu. It was weird. Yeah. It was like I think I should have caught like early COVID like right then, but I didn't get sick for once. It was weird.
I was sick right after, just as like a couple of days after I got home. But you know.
All right, let's talk about the virtual film festival that's going on.
Yeah.
Starts in just 2 days. Chris, give me a sort of rundown of some of the movies that you are most looking forward to, because I did my top 10 list of movies that I'm eager for, so I got a few on here.
I couldn't,
not crazy about any of them.
No, yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. I mean, I haven't got a ton of movies that I'm really dying to see, and specifically, when I cover a festival like this, I'm doing it on, on Joe Blow's dime. Right. I mean, there's nothing really for this festival because it's online, but, I'm trying to go with the movies that I think the Joe Blow audience is going to want to go for. And I don't think there's a heck of a lot.
Sharp Stick is the first one on your list, right?
I mean, I am going to watch it because I'm curious to see what she does. And I'm always
it's
curious.
It's not a Joe Blow movie, though.
It might be, it would generate some conversation. That and then probably the Cosby Doc as well would probably generate conversation. But the one I think that probably for my audience, that's the biggest is probably Duel by Riley Stearns.
I just watched.
Yeah. That feels like a kind of movie that could get like a big deal and a big pickup. But, I was trying to think of why the festival has seemed so low key. And I think it's a lot of reasons. I think COVID has a lot to do with it, but I think also, and also the types of movies that are being chosen. I do believe it's much more, PC of a festival than it used to be, for lack of a better word. But I also think, and I think this is something that's not often talked about, is that the type of star-driven indies that we used to see at Sundance, they're not really being made anymore. If they're being made for Netflix, who doesn't need Sundance, because if anything, Sundance is bad for Netflix because the last thing he wanted, you get a situation like that, right? But I think that what's happening now is they're saving all their stuff for TIFF. Because like The Lost Daughter, Power of the Dog, those both would have been Sundance movies, a couple of years ago. Oh, yeah. But I think that what's happening is that the stuff that's not being made for Netflix is being turned into limited series. If you look at something like Dope Sick or Pam and Tommy, those would have been movies a couple of years ago with probably the same cast, and they would have been going to Sundance. But now they're being done with much bigger budgets as limited series. And, so I think that's just the landscape has completely changed in the last couple of years. Something like Call Me by Your Name would never go to Sundance anymore. It wouldn't be an independent movie. It would have been financed by a streaming site.
Oh yeah,
probably in Netflix.
Yeah,
and it just you wouldn't see it at Sundance. You'd maybe see it at TIFF or the New York Film Festival if they were really going for awards. But I don't think the market is at all the same.
Yeah, I agree. Any other movies on your list that you're looking forward to besides Duel, which I can't wait to talk to you about actually?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I personally, I'm curious to see Lucy and Desi just because I'm an aficionado of old Hollywood. I don't think the Joe Blow audience is going to give a shit. The Finn Wolfhard movie with Julianne Moore, which was title I can't even remember. That's how excited I am.
Like When You're Done Saving the World or something. Like
that. The Call Jane sounds pretty interesting.
Saving the World.
Yeah, Call Jane sounds pretty interesting. I mean, there's a lot of the Dunham movie I'm going to watch for sure because I'm always curious to see what she does.
It's a much smaller lineup this year too, right? Like they didn't pick nearly as many movies as they normally do.
No, and I think that there's not, I think that's also part of it. I think the indies, the big ones aren't really being made at the moment, because of everything, because of COVID, and they're just being done for different places. So, it's a different kind of festival. But I think though, I don't want to sound like I'm down on Sundance either, because I think they're doing the best they can with what they're getting, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, because I think you'll probably see more movies like Coda from last year that are going to break out, that don't necessarily have name actors in it, but it's the next generation that's coming up in those movies. And I think that's what you're going to see a lot in Sundance these next few years. A lot of talent is going to emerge from Sundance that are going to become well known in the years to come. So something like Coda I thought was great, but it was like almost a completely unknown actress who now is kind of broken out because of that. We're going to get a lot more of that, I think.
Yeah. Danielle, give me some of the films that you're looking forward to this year at Sundance.
Oh, Lucy and Desi is one of my priority films. And Chris, it's funny you mentioned that you're not sure if your audience is interested in that kind of era of Hollywood. My review of Being the Ricardos has blown up recently from everyone searching for the fictional director in the film.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's kind of interesting. Huh.
Don Glass is not a real person.
Yeah. I mean,
there's no IMDb page. I double checked, and I even linked to I Love Lucy's IMDb in my review.
Yeah,
and it's one of the frequent searches.
It's interesting because my review of it actually did pretty well too. But the reviews always tend to do pretty well. But I felt like it was one of those movies everybody was kind of hating on, and they clicked on the review just to talk shit about it. I think that's kind of the Joe Blow thing for a movie like that.
But yeah, I mean, aside from that, it's Amy Poehler. I Love Lucy. I mean, it's got to be better than Being the Ricardos.
Oh, has to be.
And I mean, I would have said I was really looking forward to Final Cut, but they pulled that one from the program.
Yeah, but you saw it though, right?
Yeah, I saw a screener because I'd requested interviews, and at the time it was before the fest went to virtual, and I had just watched it that Monday.
Is that the reason why they pulled it? Because they didn't want it to be seen virtual. They wanted it to be seen with an audience. Yeah,
I feel like that director though is really kind of taken a nosedive since The Artist, and I think that in hindsight, you look at The Artist and you're like, how the fuck did this movie ever win Best Picture?
I can't.
Oh, Harvey Weinstein. There you go.
Yeah, you would go back and watch it now. It totally does not.
No,
hold up and is a Best Picture winner. I can't even remember what movies he's done since that movie. Honestly,
it's been a lot of spy parodies.
Yeah. Those were before The Artist, but he did like The Search, and
I forgot about The Search completely.
Godal, Mon Amour, I think, but I didn't see any of them. I mean, they weren't really big movies that were exported much.
Yeah, I didn't see that one either. For me, there's a few. One, I think probably the one that's tops on my list is 892. John.
Yeah, I'm curious to see that.
I'm very curious. Yeah, I'm curious about that one too. It's got an amazing cast. That looks like it could be one of those possible breakout films just based on casting alone. Like it might have like actual box office potential, which so many Sundance movies seem like they have, but then they don't end up having it.
Well, as one of the last Michael K. Williams performances too.
Yep, exactly. I'm also looking forward to After Yang, which is the new film from Kogonada. Columbus, which is a movie I adore. I love that movie to death, so I'll watch anything that he does at this point. And I think I'm looking forward to Blood also, just because it has my girl from Wetlands in it. Wetlands, one of the funniest experiences I've ever had. At Sundance, because it's one of those movies that
I didn't see it. I never saw it, but the one that I remember watching with you and I didn't make it to the end was The Greasy Strangler.
One of us made it to the end of that.
And then there was the other one and then there was also the one the from the guy who did Blind Spotting about like the when they were singing
with the kids.
Slam poetry.
What was it? What was the title of it?
It was a Summertime. I don't know, but it was
Summertime.
Yeah. I remember I watched 5 minutes of it and I was like, I'm out. I'm not even gonna review it. I can't give this movie.
Rough. It didn't come out for like maybe a year later almost. It was, and it came out really quietly. And
how about Burden? Has that ever come out? Yeah, it did come out, eh?
Yeah, Burden came out because that was that was my second to last in-person junket.
That was Travis's favorite that year. It came out
because I did the junket that it was either that Thursday or Friday. And then the following Monday, the two folks from The Climb were in town.
Oh yeah, that was good.
And after South by got canceled, that junket would have been canceled, but no, they were in Chicago.
I remember when
And
we were
then I had to
watching.
hold my interview forever.
I remember when we were watching Burden, I could just hear Travis like under his breath going, "What the fuck?"
I hate bad movies about race issues. They're just unwatchable. Like,
racism is bad.
I'm also looking forward to Summering, which is a new film from James Ponsoldt, who's one of my favorite.
Oh, I didn't know he had a movie there. Oh,
yeah.
Interesting.
I actually got a screener of it. I'm going to watch it today or tomorrow.
I better mark that down.
It doesn't look like anything I would normally watch because it's about kids. It's a kids movie, it seems like. And it doesn't seem like anything Ponsoldt's ever done before either. So I'm like, okay, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I'm interested if he's doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's on my Sundance list, but I mean, I really haven't been requesting screeners.
Yeah.
And I've only watched 2 screeners and one of them got pulled. I was supposed to watch another one for a junket, but I emailed the publicist. I'm like, my headspace just isn't there. I've got to cancel.
Yeah.
I was going to do, I think I'm maybe interviewing Bill Nighy for his movie, but nothing's been confirmed yet. And
I was supposed to talk to Riley Stearns about Duel, but
cool.
Some stuff got in the way and it kind of got away, so I couldn't do it. Duel is very interesting though.
I'm curious to see that. I think that'll probably sell to like Netflix or something.
Double Karen Gillan, man. How can you go wrong?
Yeah.
With that?
Well, I think she's very marketed. It's the kind of movie though. If you go to Netflix and you get the little thumbnail thing, like you just show two of her, and people would click.
That's really all you need. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting Sundance, and I'm not so sure how this is going to play in terms of like, whether or not we see like potential Oscar movies come out of this or not. I don't really feel it. Danielle, do you?
I mean, until I watch the films and see for myself, I'm like, all I know is that last year I remember starting out with Coda, and then Summer So, and the next morning was Barb and Star because I got a screener from Lionsgate to do interviews. And unlike a lot of other critics, it hit me the same way because I watched these 2 amazing movies the night before.
Mm-hmm. But it was all kind of downhill after that, though, from what I remember. Like, I remember when we started out with Coda, I was like, wow, this is going to be a great festival. And then afterwards, it was kind of like,
It was a super high point because, like you said, Coda and Summer of Soul were like, bam, bam, like 2 amazing films that got you energized for the festival. And then it was like, all right, I'm going to go see Downhill tomorrow. Okay, well, whatever. It's like, or whatever.
Well, and then there were movies that still haven't come out that got big deals, like On the Count of Three. I remember that got picked up, and it was going to be like Annapurna, and it has never come out.
Will not come out. That was a pretty interesting film too. You thought with Jared Carmichael leading it was going to have something, and Christopher Abbott, but it just really didn't. And Black Bear, I can't remember if that was last year or 2 years.
That was 2019.
That was 2 years ago because I was at the premiere.
It took a long time.
But yeah, also. On the Count of Three, what I remember from that one is I saw the intro and then it crashed.
Yeah.
And there were no screeners. And then the next day, I'm watching Passing, 20 minutes when it crashes.
I was fine. Nothing happened to me. I thought it actually worked really well, the system last year. So we'll see. Hopefully it holds up this year.
Yeah, I didn't have any. I really didn't have any streaming issues last year, but they've totally changed the platform this year.
Oh, it's not Shift 72 or whatever. Or 40.
No, they changed it completely because they've limited access to a lot of the movies too. Like it used to be you didn't really have that issue last year, but they've changed it completely. I asked them about it. They're like, no, we're not using the same platform as last year. It's totally different. Do not rely on what you did last year. I was like, great.
Yeah. See if we can actually watch the movies.
Yeah, and it's not just on Apple TV. Like they're going to have Amazon apps, Roku apps.
Well, that's good. The apps never work for me though because because you're not supposed to be able to access them internationally. So I always have to do it on my computer and then mirror it.
Really?
Chris, are there any films you've heard any early buzz about, like that are?
No, I haven't. I honestly haven't heard of anything. The only one that I've kind of heard anything about was the Cosby Doc, because I think that's a lot of people are waiting for that because they especially with somebody like W. Kamau Bell.
Oh, I mean,
yeah. But that's also like that. The thing is, that's going to be on Showtime a couple weeks later, though, and I think that's when everybody's going to start talking about it. You know, like it's gonna,
but it's already reaching out to us about its debut on Showtime. So I mean, so you could, theoretically not even watch it at Sundance and still get the screeners at the same time anyway. So
I'm curious about maybe Phoenix Rising, the Evan Rachel Wood doc, but it also feels a little like, I don't know, like there's something about that. It's kind of it kind of feels exploitative in some ways, like I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know if that's going to be well received. I think the Cosby doc definitely will, but I don't know. Hard to say.
Yeah, in terms of controversy, the Cosby doc looks like that's gonna be the one. Seems like Sundance has a controversial doc just about every year now.
I mean, I think that keeps them on the map to some degree too. I mean, ever since Leaving Neverland, when that played, and then you had the Russell Simmons doc, and then there was what was the one last year? I forget.
Well, before they started being about like celebrities, they used to be like the Mormon docs. They come out every year at Sundance.
Well, and then you'd have the Westboro Baptist picketing the screenings that you were at. Those were always a treat.
Well, you too. It's gonna suck not being able to see you both at the Fresh Market or to get a
or the blogger party.
Right.
Oh, that was in my condo. Yeah, it was that's where I stay every year. Yeah, I think if the festival had happened, we probably wouldn't have actually done the blogger party this year either, though, because of Omicron. But hopefully next year everything will be back to normal, and we can get back to it. But it's funny. I was just talking to one of the publicists for a studio, and I think what's going to happen with COVID, my theory is that it's going to be a lot like it was this year, where you're going to have down periods like the summer and the fall, where things are going to kind of go back to normal, and we're just going to have to enjoy ourselves. And then, then you're going to have the surges. I mean, here in Quebec, where I am, things are really bad. Movie theaters are closed, so I haven't seen Scream. Yeah. So we had curfew until last night.
Jeez.
I know. I mean, as soon as that surge started hitting in late December and things started getting canceled again, I'm like, I am so grateful for those trips to LA and New York.
Yeah. I went to LA. I went to Vegas, London. So I had a great fall, but I had a really good run there for a couple of months, and hopefully things will pick up again. I was still hoping to go to LA, but there's that wait list shit that's going on with the awards. So we'll see.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I don't know if I'm gonna make it out there either. I haven't sent in my RSVP for that yet, so that's gonna work.
And then you've got BAFTA same day. South by's going on, but I'm not going to Texas.
Is South by in person?
Yeah, South by's in person. And what I found out is if you're planning to cover as much of the festival as possible, the film, like for in person, the screening library is so much better than those that are just doing the regular online pass. Because one friend got initially denied for doing online, and then they emailed and said that if they do a film badge for in person, though they're not going in person, the screening library is going to be so much better.
All right, you two. This has been a lot of fun getting to talk to you both about Sundance. Chris, tell everybody where they can find you.
JoeBlow.com. And and you can see Travis's stuff there too. So we got Ford Fairlane coming up tomorrow.
What do you do at Joe Blow, Chris?
Me, I do everything at Joe Blow. I'm the editor in chief. So I run the site. Every story that goes up has got me reading and agonizing about it. And
Joe Blow, the face of the person who is behind it.
You hear my voice probably. Like James Bond Revisited just went up, and best movie you never saw is mine as well. And then Travis, you've got Ford Fairlane this week, and then House Party next week.
You guys got the music situation figured out?
Oh yeah, he's good. EJ is really good. Ford Fairlane came together really well. He's really talented. He had COVID, so he was out of commission for a week, but he bounced back. So
everybody's got COVID, man. Everybody's got it. Everybody's or had it. So it is. Danielle, tell everybody where they can find your stuff at.
People can find my stuff online at solzy@themovies.com. That's SOLZY at themovies.com. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Danielle SATM. That's DANIELLE SATM.
All All right. Thanks again, you two, for joining me on this episode of Cinema Royale, talking Sundance. Everybody, you can find me every day at punchdrunkcritics.com and on Twitter at punchycritic, and you can find Punch Drunk Critics at PDC Movies. Thanks again. I will see you guys next time. Bye. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what we're laying down, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell to receive notifications for all of our latest stuff.